What's up, you guys? We're making Krispy Kreme donuts today, so let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Got a cup and a half of milk here, a quarter cup of water. We want to heat that to about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Add in 7 grams of dry active yeast, and that heat is going to activate the yeast. And we're going to let this sit for 10 minutes or so. Meantime, we'll get the rest of our ingredients ready. Got 5 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to add about half of that to our stand mixer. I got 90 grams of sugar here. It's a little more than a third of a cup. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And I'm going to grate in some fresh nutmeg, just a touch, about 1/8 of a teaspoon for some added flavor. With our dough hook attachment, incorporate our dry ingredients. And now we can bring back our milk yeast mixture here and incorporate that. Now we'll add 2 whole eggs. Let that get all incorporated. Scrape down the sides as you go. Make sure that flour mixture gets incorporated with the yeast, the milk, and the eggs. And I got half a cup here of shortening. Make sure the shortening gets mixed in well. Now we're ready to add our remaining flour. And once our flour is added in, put on the dough hook and let this form a nice dough. I want it to be elastic and smooth, about 3 minutes or so. And once the dough starts to pull away from the sides of our mixing bowl, this is ready to go. We'll move this onto our work surface. Hit it with some all-purpose flour. If the dough is too sticky, just add a little more flour. But you don't want it to be too dry. And we'll just work the dough and form it into a ball. And once we have our dough formed into a ball, we'll bring in a greased bowl here. We'll add our donut dough to that, cover it with a damp towel. We'll let this rise for about an hour. And after an hour or so, you can see it's doubled in size. So we'll add some more flour to our work surface. Take out our dough, pat it down a bit. We're going to divide this in half and start to roll this out. Just grab a rolling pin and we'll roll it out about 1/2 inch thick. Once our dough is rolled out, grab our pastry rings here and just start to cut out our donuts. As many as you can. Then grab a smaller ring for the donut hole and cut out our rings. Add into a sheet tray, line with some parchment paper, and let these hang out while we cut the rest of our donuts. Same deal, roll it out 1/2 inch thick, cut out your donuts. And all this excess dough, I'm going to keep all that to roll out some more donuts. We don't want to waste that, obviously. So we'll just grab all this excess, put it all together, and we'll roll that out for more donuts. So while our dough is hanging out, we'll get some frosting going here. Got powdered sugar, 2 cups, and I'll add in a 1/4 cup of whole milk, about a tablespoon at a time. We don't want to add too much milk here, just until it gets an icing consistency. You might need a little more milk, might need a little less. This is the consistency we're looking for. We'll add in a tablespoon of vanilla extract and 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. And this is the secret ingredient to get that Krispy Kreme icing, to get that texture and that bite when you hit the donut. Gets that good crunch. Fully incorporate all those ingredients for this icing. And I will let this hang out. I will make a chocolate glaze as well. Put this aside. In a saucepan, have a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. To that, we'll add 2 tablespoons of whole milk, teaspoon of vanilla, and a tablespoon of that corn syrup. We'll just put this over medium heat until it's melted. After it's melted, we'll whisk that. Add in 2 ounces of dark chocolate chips. Make sure the butter is hot so the chocolate could melt. And once our chocolate is melted and everything is homogeneous, we'll add in 1 cup powdered sugar. Whisk that together. If your icing is a little too thick, thin it out with some more milk. This consistency looks good. Just cover it with some plastic wrap while we prepare our donuts. And in a large cast iron pan, add some canola oil, and it's preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 175 degrees Celsius. We can start to fry our donuts. Got a couple of sheet trays lined with some wire racks, and putting the donuts away from you because the oil is hot, obviously. We'll start to add our donuts. Don't want to crowd the pan too much. Just gently add the donuts and they'll start to fry. Want to do this for about 90 seconds per side. We don't want to get too much color on them. After 90 seconds, give them a flip. You can see they start to puff up a bit. And on the other side, we'll do another 90 seconds. And once they're ready, just remove them and add them to the wire rack. And just repeat the process for all your donuts. Again, away from you, 90 seconds each side. Watch the color. Don't crowd the pan. So these are ready to go. Got some of our donuts here, and I have another wire rack here. The color is nice. See, they puffed up a bit. Now we could glaze these up. We want to do this when they're still relatively warm. We'll add some donuts here to our icing, and using a fork, just coat them in the icing. Probably should have just did 2 donuts or used a larger bowl, or just used my hands, but it's okay. These look pretty good. Of course, you could leave some of the donuts plain. I'm going to use about half of them for this icing, and then we'll use the other half for our chocolate. Just fully coat it as best you can. Remove the excess and add them to the wire rack. Make sure you have parchment paper underneath the wire rack too, so you don't have a mess to clean. And for our chocolate, we won't fully dip them in. We'll just do half. So just dip it in, fully coat one side, and that's our chocolate. And just repeat the process for the rest of our donuts. Like I said, you could keep some of the donuts plain, maybe dust some of them with powdered sugar, add some chocolate sprinkles to the frosting. Be creative, do whatever you like. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe for Krispy Kreme donuts. Really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.